The galaxy was quiet, almost too quiet. Stars glittered in endless blackness and planets spun silently in their orbits. To the mighty alien empires, the Zorath, the Krell, and the Vinkar, Earth was nothing. A small blue-green planet on the edge of the Milky Way. Primitive. Weak. Unworthy of notice. They laughed when they spoke of humans, calling them fragile, short-lived creatures who would never rise beyond their homeworld. But on Earth, things were different. Humans did not tremble at the thought of aliens. They did not cower before the power of empires that had ruled hundreds of star systems. Hidden in the depths of orbiting shipyards, secret bases on the Moon, Mars, and beyond, humans worked tirelessly. They built sleek, fast, deadly ships, jet fleets no one could have imagined. Engineers rewrote rules of physics with clever designs. Pilots trained day and night, learning to maneuver through space like birds in a storm. Every test flight, every simulation, every drop of sweat in the training halls was a promise. Earth would not kneel. Captain Elena Miles walked through the corridors of the Earth flagship Indomitable. The ship thrummed softly beneath her feet, alive with energy and determination. She ran her fingers along the railings, feeling the heartbeat of a vessel that carried the hopes of her entire species. Her crew were quiet, focused, each one understanding the weight of what was coming. Tonight they would strike. Not in anger, not in hate, but in self-respect. They would show the galaxy the true strength of humanity. She paused in front of the observation window. Beyond the glass, the void stretched endlessly, dotted with distant suns. Her mind wandered to the stories she had heard as a child, tales of humans surviving against impossible odds, of communities uniting in the face of disasters, of people risking everything to protect each other. That spirit, that courage was not gone. It lived in every human pilot, every engineer, every soldier aboard the Indomitable. That courage would be their weapon, stronger than any laser, faster than any jet. In the command room, the human fleet gathered. Around her, hundreds of ships rested in quiet readiness, engines humming with restrained power. Technicians checked weapons, pilots reviewed battle plans, and communications officers monitored signals from distant alien worlds. Every human aboard knew the history of the empires they faced. Every human knew the risk. But no one doubted that they were ready. Confidence was not arrogance, it was necessity. The Zorath, the Krell, and the Vinkar would expect an easy victory. They had dominated star systems for centuries. Their fleets were massive, each ship bristling with weapons that could destroy planets. Their admirals had never seen resistance like this. Their emperors, used to obedience and fear, would be unprepared for humanity's cunning. And that underestimation would be their greatest mistake. Elena took her place at the captain's chair. Her hands hovered over the controls, calm but steady. She remembered her father's words when she was a child. Strength isn't about size or power or fear. It's about refusing to give up when everyone else thinks you're done. That is the human way. Her father had died when she was young, but his words lived in her heart. Tonight she would honor them. Tonight, humanity would prove that no empire could measure the spirit of a determined species. Outside the fleet, Earth rotated silently. Cities glowed faintly on the surface, unaware of the silent armada ready to defend them. Oceans shimmered in moonlight. Forests whispered in the night. And humans slept peacefully, trusting that unseen hands would protect them. It was this trust, this belief in each other, that made humans dangerous. They fought not for conquest, but for home, for family, for the promise of tomorrow. Suddenly, alarms buzzed softly in the fleet. The first wave of reconnaissance drones had returned. Images of alien scouts, massive and terrifying, flickered on the screens. The Zorath flagship glimmered like a black diamond in space, massive battle cruisers surrounding it. The Krell ships formed tight formations, their weapons pointed outward. The Vinkar fleet moved silently, like predators circling prey. Every detail, every calculation, had been anticipated by human strategists. Every weakness, every hesitation had been accounted for. Elena's voice cut through the room. All units prepare for launch. Today the galaxy will remember Earth. not as a planet to be conquered, but as a force that refuses to bow. The words were calm, but every officer and pilot felt the weight of them deep in their chest. Courage surged through the corridors of the Indomitable, flowing outward into every ship in the fleet. And then, as the stars watched silently, humanity waited. Silent, patient, resolute, they did not tremble. They did not panic. They only prepared. The calm before the storm was over. The galaxy would soon see the wrath of a species underestimated for too long. For tonight, humans were not small. They were not weak. They were the storm itself, and nothing could stop them from reminding the universe that Earth would never kneel. The silence of space shattered in an instant. From the edge of the Zorath system, human jet fleets emerged like a storm born from the void, sleek, fast, and deadly. They glinted in starlight, their engines leaving trails of blue-white fire that cut through the darkness. The alien scouts, confident and arrogant, raised alarms too late. Captain Elena Miles gripped the controls of the Indomitable, her heart steady but fierce. Her voice resonated across the fleet comms. "All units, engage! Show them what happens when they underestimate Earth." The humans struck with precision no alien had expected. Laser beams carved through the massive hulls of Zorath cruisers, cutting them in half like paper. Explosions erupted across the enemy lines, fire blooming against the black of space. Alien crews scrambled in panic, shouting in alien tongues, unable to comprehend the sudden ferocity. Lieutenant Marco Reyes, piloting his jet at the forefront, felt the familiar surge of fear and excitement. Around him, his squadron twisted, dodged, and struck with lightning speed. "They'll regret thinking we're weak," he shouted, laughing even as his weapons tore through a Krell destroyer. Every human pilot carried more than weapons. They carried the weight of a planet that had been doubted, laughed at, and dismissed. Every strike was fueled by a lifetime of survival, a relentless drive to protect their home, their people, and the countless lives they had sworn to defend. The Zorath Emperor stared in disbelief from his flagship's command deck. His massive hands shook over the controls. What is this? They are mere insects." His voice was almost a roar of panic, unheard by the humans, but trembling with fear nonetheless. Across the fleet, alien admirals tried to regroup, forming defensive lines that human pilots shredded without mercy. On the Indomitable, Elena's eyes were sharp, scanning every display. Each explosion, each fallen enemy ship reminded her of the stakes. Humans were outnumbered, yes, but they had something the aliens lacked: courage tempered with cunning. She remembered the engineers' words whispered during long nights of preparation. Every weakness they show is an opportunity. Strike fast, strike hard, strike smart. And that is exactly what they were doing. Amidst the chaos, a young pilot named Hana Kim maneuvered through a barrage of laser fire, her jet weaving with uncanny agility. Her twin cannons fired in perfect synchrony, destroying a Vinkar frigate. "For Earth!" she screamed, her voice shaking with emotion, a mix of fear, pride, and exhilaration. The human fleet echoed her determination, each pilot carrying that same unshakable resolve. Even as some humans fell, jets exploding, pilots lost in the void, their sacrifices only strengthened the fleet's fury. Every death became fuel for the living. Every fallen friend became a reason to fight harder. Lieutenant Marco, witnessing his best friend's ship vaporize beside him, clenched his teeth. "We do not kneel. Not today. Not ever," he shouted, his jet diving into the heart of the enemy formation. The alien armada, massive and confident, began to fracture. Formation after formation fell apart. Confusion rippled through their ranks like wildfire. Orders were shouted, ignored, repeated. Their mighty weapons, designed to crush worlds, barely touched the fast, maneuverable human jets. Each hit the humans landed was devastating. Each misfire by the aliens a step closer to chaos. From the observation deck of the Indomitable, Elena saw the Zorath flagship erupt in flames, the explosion reflecting on her determined eyes. She whispered to herself, a quiet promise. We will not stop. We cannot stop. Not until every empire that dared to underestimate us knows the price of underestimating Earth. As the first strike continued, human pilots moved as one. Fleet formations twisted and turned, evading enemy fire, striking at critical weak points. Every explosion, every maneuver carried the unmistakable message. Earth was no longer a minor player. Earth had arrived, and it was merciless. By the time the first wave ended, entire alien cruisers were gone, wreckage floating silently in space. Alien admirals were furious. Emperors were trembling. The galaxy's most powerful fleets had been shocked, humiliated, and broken in ways no one thought possible. And yet humans felt no triumph in their hearts, only determination. The fight had only just begun. Captain Elena looked out at the stars, her face illuminated by the glow of distant fires. She spoke softly, almost to herself, almost as a prayer. We are Earth. They thought we were weak. They thought we would kneel. They were wrong, and we will make them remember that mistake. In the silent vastness of space, the first strike had changed everything. Humanity had arrived as a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again. The victory of the first strike echoed across human fleets, but there was no time to celebrate. The alien empires were far from defeated. The Krell fleet, enraged and humiliated, surged forward with a vengeance. Their massive ships glowed with energy, weapons charging, engines roaring like the heartbeat of a dying world. This was no longer a skirmish. It was a test of human endurance against overwhelming power. Captain Elena Miles felt the tension in her bones. She could see the enemy forces advancing across the tactical display, a wall of dark metal and fire. Each ship was designed to destroy fleets like hers, yet she did not falter. She had expected this. She had trained for this. She had prayed silently that her pilots were ready. Lieutenant Marco Reyes glanced at the approaching Krell destroyers, his face pale beneath the cockpit lights. They're huge, he whispered, though his hands were steady on the controls. He knew fear could be a weapon if controlled. It sharpened the mind. It fueled the resolve. He shook his head and whispered, No, we're human. We're unstoppable. We fight. The first volleys hit. Human squadrons were torn apart as alien fire struck with devastating accuracy. Explosions lit the darkness like fireworks of death. Jets vaporized in seconds. Screams crackled over comms, raw and filled with fear. Yet through the chaos, the humans pressed on. Retreat was not an option. Kneeling was not an option. Survival, yes, but only by fighting back. Smarter, faster, harder than any enemy. Hana Kim, her jet scorched and battered, dodged through debris. She saw her wingman disintegrate in a blinding flash. Her chest tightened with grief, but she pushed forward. Tears blurred her vision, yet her hands were steady, weapons locked on the Krell ship ahead. For the fallen, she whispered, firing. The enemy ship shuddered under the human assault, its shields cracking. Every loss became a reason to fight harder, every fallen friend a spark of vengeance. Elena's voice came through the comms, calm but firm. Hold formation. Focus fire on weak points. Every life lost is a life avenged. Remember why we fight. Her words were more than commands. They were a reminder of human unity. Humans fought not out of hatred, not out of desire for conquest, but out of an unbreakable bond. Each pilot, each engineer, each soldier carried the lives of billions in their hearts. Every strike was a promise. Earth would not bow. The Krell admirals tried to adapt, forming tighter formations, but human pilots had anticipated this. Using clever maneuvers, rapid strikes, and unexpected hyperspace jumps, the humans tore holes in the alien lines. The Vinkar fleet attempted a flanking attack, their ships appearing suddenly in human radar like shadows born of nightmare. But humans were ready. Every counterattack was met with calculated brilliance, every trap avoided, every ambush turned against the attackers. Even as humans suffered losses, their spirits remained unbroken. Elena watched as another jet exploded, The pilot lost to the void and felt a pang of sorrow. Yet she forced herself to focus, knowing the lives lost were not in vain. She whispered to herself, "We fight because they think we cannot. We fight because they underestimated us, and we will not fail." Across the battlefield, alien soldiers began to falter. The first strike had revealed humanity's cunning. Now, seeing humans endure and adapt under fire, morale among the Krell and Vinkar began to crack. Some ships hesitated, firing late or retreating in confusion. Panic spread like wildfire through their ranks. The once proud Armadas, confident in their supremacy, were beginning to question everything. Marco gritted his teeth as another Krell destroyer advanced. He fired relentlessly, weaving through the explosions, shouting over the comms, "We are human. We do not fall. We do not kneel." Around him, every pilot echoed his determination. Fear had become fuel and chaos had become advantage. Humans, small and underestimated, were rewriting the rules of battle. Elena watched the battlefield unfold and felt a mixture of grief, pride, and fierce determination. The price of human courage was high. Jets had been lost, pilots had died, entire squadrons had vanished into the void. Yet with every sacrifice, humanity proved that it could endure, adapt, and strike back. The galaxy's most powerful empires were learning a lesson they would never forget. As the Krell forces began to falter, and the Vinkar hesitated, Elena whispered, "We are not done yet. The fight has just begun, and we will show them the full strength of Earth." The humans had paid the price, but their resolve had only grown. Every loss became a story of courage. Every survivor became a symbol of hope. The galaxy, for the first time, was beginning to see the true face of humanity. The battle raged across the void, explosions lighting the darkness like violent stars. Human jets darted between debris, twisting, diving, and striking with deadly precision. The alien armadas, once confident and overwhelming, were beginning to fracture. Their formations, thought unbreakable, were shattered by the ingenuity and courage of Earth's defenders. Captain Elena Miles stood at the helm of the Indomitable, eyes fixed on the tactical display. The human fleet was battered, yes, and lives had been lost, but the enemy was faltering, hesitant. Their pride and arrogance had been broken. Elena's voice cut through the comms, calm but commanding. "Focus on the gaps. Target the flagships. Precision, not rage. Remember, we are Earth. We do not bow." Lieutenant Marco Reyes led a squadron into the heart of the Vinkar fleet. The enemy had tried to flank them, hoping to overwhelm with superior numbers, but humans had anticipated it. Using swift maneuvers and coordinated strikes, Marco's squadron tore through the enemy's shields, sending their frigates spinning into the void. "They thought we were weak," Marco shouted over the comms, "but we are unstoppable." Every pilot in the squadron felt the same fierce pride, their fear replaced by determination. On another front, Hana Kim and her team struck at the Krell Armada's rear. Their ships were faster, smaller, and smarter than the Krell had expected. They slipped through gaps in the formation, striking at weak points no alien admiral had considered. Explosions rocked the enemy ships, sending debris into a deadly storm. Hana's heart pounded, but her hands were steady. Every attack was a message. Humans fight with courage, precision, and unity. The alien emperors watched helplessly from their command decks. The Zorath Emperor banged his claws against the console. Disbelief etched across his face. How can this be? They are supposed to be primitive." Across the galaxy, the other emperors muttered, their confidence crumbling. For centuries they had ruled, feared, and conquered. Now humanity, small, fragile, and underestimated, was breaking them. Panic spread among their crews, hesitation replacing coordination, fear replacing pride. Back on the Indomitable, Elena's gaze shifted to the tactical hologram. The enemy lines were fragmented. Human losses had been high, but the cost to the aliens was far greater. Hundreds of ships were burning, drifting silently in the void, crews either dead or surrendering. Humanity had not only survived the first waves, they were turning the tide. Elena's voice was calm, almost soft, but it carried an unshakable authority. Push forward. Every strike counts. Every life lost must be honored with victory. Remember why we fight. Remember who we are. Even amidst the chaos, moments of humanity shone through. Pilots who had survived near misses shouted encouragements to the fallen. Engineers on the Indomitable worked tirelessly, repairing weapons and shields even as alarms blared. Every human, from the youngest pilot to the oldest officer, carried the same unwavering belief. They would not kneel, they would not fail, and they would make the galaxy remember Earth. The turning point came when Marco's squadron, in a daring maneuver, targeted the Vinkar flagship. Using a combination of speed, calculated fire, and unpredictable tactics, they breached the shields and struck a critical core. The explosion was massive, shaking the enemy fleet and sending shockwaves through space. The Vinkar forces were thrown into chaos, their formations collapsing entirely. Hana, watching the destruction from a nearby sector, felt tears sting her eyes. She had seen comrades fall, jets destroyed, lives lost. But now, witnessing the enemy's defeat, pride and sorrow mingled. Humanity had suffered, yes, but humanity had also prevailed. Every loss, every sacrifice had paved the way for this moment. Elena breathed deeply, feeling the weight of responsibility and the surge of triumph simultaneously. "We are not just surviving," she whispered. "We are rising. We are humanity, and we will not be forgotten." Her words echoed across the comms, reaching every pilot, every soldier, every engineer. Unity, courage, and relentless determination flowed through the fleet like fire. As the alien fleets faltered, retreating in panic and confusion, the humans pressed on. They had lost much, but they had gained more: the respect of the galaxy, the proof of their strength, and the undeniable fact that Earth was no longer a minor player. Humans had turned the tide, transforming despair into hope, fear into power, and underestimation into unstoppable force. The battle was far from over, but humanity had reached the turning point. From this moment forward, the galaxy would remember Earth, not as weak, not as insignificant, but as a planet of courage, cunning, and unbreakable spirit. And at the heart of it all, Captain Elena Miles and her crew stood proud, determined, and ready to finish what they had begun. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Alien armadas, once massive and unshakable, now quivered under the relentless assault of the human fleets. Ships that had ruled star systems for centuries now drifted in confusion, their commanders shouting orders that went unanswered. For the first time, the alien emperors felt fear, not of human weapons alone, but of human determination. Captain Elena Miles stood at the helm of the Indomitable, her hand steady despite the chaos around her. Every screen in the command room flickered with enemy ships exploding, hulls torn apart and crews surrendering. "They thought we were weak," she murmured, voice low but filled with intensity. "They thought they could break us. They were wrong." The Zorath Emperor banged his claws against the control console of his flagship, eyes wide with disbelief. "Impossible. These humans, they are not even strong individually, yet together, they are a storm." Across the galaxy, the Krell Emperor growled, teeth bared in rage, while the Vinkar Emperor's tentacles trembled with fear. For the first time, centuries of arrogance and conquest were not enough. Humanity was changing everything. Lieutenant Marco Reyes led a squadron into the heart of the Zorath fleet. The alien ships had no room to maneuver, no strategy that could withstand human precision. Marco's jets weaved between massive cruisers, striking at weak points no alien had anticipated. He could see the panic in their formations. "They are crumbling," he shouted over the comms, heart pounding. Around him, every pilot felt the same surge of triumph and relief. Fear had been turned into fuel. Courage had become power. Even as humans advanced, the price of victory was visible. Jets had been lost. Pilots were missing. Wreckage floated silently in the void, a stark reminder of the cost of courage. Yet no human faltered. Every loss was honored with renewed strength. Hana Kim, flying her damaged jet alongside her squadron, whispered for her fallen friends, promising, "We fight for you. Every strike, every maneuver, it's for you." Her words carried across the fleet, echoing the determination of every human pilot in the battle. The alien emperors tried to rally their forces, shouting commands, demanding obedience. But it was too late. Fear had taken root in their crews. Ships fired late or missed entirely. Defensive formations broke apart as humans struck again and again. The galaxy's mightiest fleets, once symbols of unstoppable power, were reduced to chaos, confusion, and desperation. Elena watched the holographic map, showing the collapse of enemy lines. The human fleet was advancing steadily, methodically, striking where it mattered most. "Hold nothing back," she commanded. "Every enemy ship that stands against us is another chance to show the galaxy who we are. Strike with courage, strike with precision, strike with humanity." Across the void, human jets moved as one, an unstoppable wave of determination. Explosions erupted across the alien armadas, tearing apart flagship after flagship. The Zorath Emperor watched helplessly as his massive vessels burned, unable to maneuver, unable to fight back. The Krell and Vinkar forces began to retreat, their pride shattered, their morale broken. Humans were relentless, unstoppable, and merciless when provoked. Even as the enemy faltered, human crews did not celebrate. There was no joy in the destruction, only a somber understanding of the cost of battle. Every life lost mattered. Every friend, every comrade, every civilian on Earth waiting for their safe return gave reason to fight harder. Marco shouted as he evaded laser fire, "We do not stop. We do not kneel. We fight because Earth believes in us." His words inspired the pilots around him, their courage rising with every heartbeat. The final shock to the alien emperors came as humans executed maneuvers they had never seen before. Flanking, decoy attacks, hyperspace jumps that tore through the enemy lines. Entire alien squadrons disintegrated or surrendered instantly. The Zorath Emperor's voice trembled as he barked feudal commands. The Krell Emperor's claws shook with rage. The Vinkar Emperor's tentacles quivered uncontrollably. Pride, arrogance, and centuries of conquest had no meaning in the face of human unity, intelligence, and courage. On the Indomitable, Elena took a deep breath. Her heart was heavy with the losses but burning with resolve. They underestimated us. They mocked us. They thought we would kneel. But we are humans. And humans do not kneel. We fight, we survive. And we win! Her words echoed across the fleet. Every pilot and soldier feeling the undeniable truth. Earth had changed the galaxy forever. As alien armadas broke and scattered, humanity pressed forward. Ships burned, flags fell, and emperors trembled. The galaxy for the first time realized that humans were not a species to be underestimated. Humanity was a force of courage, unity, and relentless determination. And from this moment on, every empire, every fleet, every alien being would remember the day Earth fought back, and they had trembled before it. The alien armadas were in retreat, but humanity did not pause. The human fleets, though battered, surged forward with calculated fury. The Zorath, the Krell, and the Vinkar had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. Every ship that had mocked Earth, every soldier that had laughed at its primitive defenses, would face the unstoppable might of human resolve. Captain Elena Miles stood at the helm of the Indomitable, eyes blazing with determination. Her crew moved with flawless coordination, each action precise, every maneuver a testament to countless hours of training. "We strike with precision," she ordered. "We strike for Earth, and we strike for everyone who believed we were weak." Lieutenant Marco Reyes led a squadron through the shattered remnants of the Zorath fleet. The enemy ships, massive and terrifying just days ago, now floated like broken statues in space. Marco fired relentlessly, his jets weaving through the chaos, striking at critical cores and weapon systems. "For the fallen. For Earth," he shouted, the roar of his voice echoing across the comms. Around him, every pilot shared the same fierce pride, their fear replaced by determination. Hana Kim's squadron targeted the Krell rear guard, using tactics that the enemy could not anticipate. They struck and vanished like ghosts, reappearing where the Krell least expected, tearing through shields and sending cruisers spinning into the void. Hana felt the weight of each strike, knowing that every move was a step closer to victory, and a promise that the sacrifices of their fallen comrades had meaning. Across the galaxy, the alien emperors watched helplessly as their fleets collapsed. The Zorath Emperor's claws shook with rage and fear, his massive flagship burning from human strikes. The Krell Emperor roared orders, but hesitation and panic had spread too deeply among his crews. The Vinkar Emperor's tentacles twitched uncontrollably, unable to command a fleet that was unraveling before his eyes. For the first time, these rulers felt the raw terror of underestimating a species they had dismissed for centuries. Despite the chaos, humans fought with discipline and mercy. Prisoners were spared, ships abandoned by their crews were captured, and the destruction focused on the armadas that had sought to conquer Earth. Elena's voice echoed through the fleet. "We fight to defend, not to destroy. But anyone who threatens our home will feel our full strength. Earth is merciless to those who underestimate it." The turning point came when a coordinated strike hit the Vinkar flagship directly. Hundreds of jets swooped in from multiple angles. Lasers cutting through shields, missiles striking critical systems. The flagship exploded in a blinding firestorm, debris scattering in every direction. Panic erupted across the Vinkar forces. Formation after formation collapsed. Ships surrendered. Entire fleets scattered into hyperspace, fleeing from a species they had believed weak. Elena watched the battlefield, her chest tight with pride and sorrow. The victory was not without cost. Jets had been lost. Pilots had died. Every explosion, every fallen comrade reminded her of the price of courage. Yet she could see the outcome of humanity's determination. Alien fleets shattered, emperors trembling, and the galaxy beginning to respect the planet they had once ignored. Marco's voice came over the comms, calm and full of relief. "Captain, the last Krell flagship has been disabled. They are surrendering. Humanity. We did it." Cheers erupted across the human fleet, but Elena held a solemn smile. "Victory is never without sacrifice," she said softly. "But it is worth every life, every risk, every moment we refused to bow." Even as the humans pressed the advantage, they maintained control. Ships that had surrendered were escorted safely to secure sectors. Engineers repaired what they could. Pilots checked on each other, sharing quiet words of comfort and encouragement. Humanity had won, but it had done so with honor, courage, and mercy. That combination, unknown to the alien emperors, was what made humans unstoppable. The alien emperors, humiliated and trembling, realized the extent of their failure. They had faced a species they dismissed, a species that fought with courage, intelligence, and unity beyond anything they had ever seen. The galaxy would never forget this moment. The day Earth struck, merciless yet honorable, and the day humanity showed that it was no longer to be underestimated. Elena looked out at the stars, fire and debris streaking the darkness, and whispered to herself, "We are Earth. We fight because we must. We protect because we can, and we will never kneel." Her words carried across the fleet, a reminder that humanity's strength was more than weapons. It was heart, courage, and unbreakable unity. The human fleets had struck. Alien armadas lay shattered. Empires trembled. And Earth, though scarred and battered, stood proud, unbroken and merciless to those who dared threaten it. The galaxy was silent, but the silence was not peaceful. It was the calm after the storm. Alien fleets, once mighty and unstoppable, were shattered. Their emperors, trembling and defeated, had seen the full force of human courage, unity, and determination. And across the void, the Earth fleets held steady, battle-worn but unbroken, their flags shining against the stars. Captain Elena Miles stood at the helm of the Indomitable, her gaze sweeping over the remnants of the enemy armadas. The price of victory was high. Jets destroyed, comrades lost, scars on every ship. But the outcome was undeniable. Humanity had won. Humanity had shown the galaxy that Earth was no longer a minor planet, no longer to be underestimated. Lieutenant Marco Reyes floated beside her, exhausted but smiling. "Captain." "We did it," he said softly. His voice carried the weight of relief, grief, and pride. Elena nodded, her eyes misting slightly. "We did, but this is just the beginning. They will remember us, they will respect us, and they will never underestimate Earth again." Across the fleet, pilots cheered, some shouting in triumph, others silent with tears. They had fought not for conquest, not for glory, but for home. For every human life they had sworn to protect. Every maneuver, every strike, every life lost had led to this moment. The moment humanity proved that courage and unity could overcome even the most overwhelming force. The alien emperors had no choice but to surrender. The Zorath Emperor's claws trembled as he issued the order to retreat. The Krell Emperor's voice cracked as he told his scattered ships to withdraw. Even the Vinkar Emperor's tentacles quivered uncontrollably, their pride shattered beyond repair. The galaxy's most feared rulers had learned a lesson they would never forget. Earth does not kneel. Earth fights and Earth endures. On board the Indomitable, Elena's voice carried across the comms, firm yet calm. All human forces maintain formation. Secure surrendered ships, care for the wounded, remember the cost of victory and honor the fallen. Earth stands, humanity stands, and we will never kneel. Every pilot, every soldier, every engineer felt the truth of her words deep in their hearts. This was more than a victory. It was proof that the human spirit, when united, was unstoppable. Lieutenant Hana Kim, her jet lightly damaged but still soaring, watched the last of the alien ships retreat. Tears streaked her dirt-smudged face, a mix of grief for the friends she had lost and pride in what they had achieved. We did it," she whispered, her voice shaking. "We survived, we fought, and we won." Around her, every pilot nodded silently, understanding the depth of what they had accomplished. Humanity had faced annihilation and emerged victorious, not because of technology alone, but because of heart, courage, and unbreakable unity. Even the debris floating in space told a story. Craters burned across alien hulls, evidence of precision strikes, bravery, and relentless effort. Wrecked ships drifted silently, reminders of the consequences of underestimating humanity. And through it all, the human fleets moved carefully, rescuing survivors, securing captured ships, and honoring the fallen. This was not conquest. It was justice, it was mercy. It was the unmistakable mark of a species that had been underestimated for too long. Elena stepped out onto the observation deck, gazing at the stars. The glow of distant fires reflected in her eyes a mix of sorrow, pride, and hope. She thought of the pilots who would never return, of friends lost in the void, and of the countless humans who had contributed to this victory, seen or unseen. She whispered softly, almost as a prayer. They thought we were small. They thought we could be crushed. But we are human. We fight for each other. We fight for home. And we do not kneel. The galaxy would remember this day. Every empire, every fleet, every alien being would carry the memory of Earth's merciless yet honorable strike. Humanity had survived the impossible, shattered the arrogance of centuries, and stood proud, united, and unbroken. As the human fleets began their journey home, battered but victorious, Elena looked around at her crew. Exhausted, wounded, but filled with the fire of pride and hope. "This is our legacy," she said softly. "Earth fights, humanity endures, and we will never kneel. Not now, not ever." And for the first time in the cold, silent vastness of space, the galaxy saw it clearly. Humanity was no longer to be underestimated. A small planet at the edge of a galaxy had proven its power, its courage, and its spirit. Earth had won, and humanity had finally earned its place among the stars.